Hi, my name is Michelle Fondin, and I'm the author of Help, I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, a survival guide for lovers, family, and friends. And welcome to the Step Study. Today, we're on Step 2 of the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon. Now, this video is great whether you're an alcoholic in early recovery or whether you're someone who loves an alcoholic and you are in recovery yourself, to try to change your patterns and ways. And in Al-Anon, or people that are in recovery, because they're in relationships with people who are alcoholics, they go through the same recovery process. So step 2 is, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Now let me remind you of the first step that we studied in the previous video. The first step is we are powerless over alcohol and our lives have become unmanageable. Step 2 is a natural transition from step 1. In step 1, we realize we're completely powerless over this thing that is called alcohol and the disease that is called alcoholism. And our lives have become unmanageable, meaning that our lives have become out of control, unwieldy, unbearable, as some alcoholics have put it. And we don't know where to turn. So the admittance of that first step, that full admittance to this is a crazy disease and I realize it now. So it's in that realization that you can progress into step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So let's go ahead and break down step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves. So this could have two separate meanings, but all in all, it is coming to a power greater than yourself. So some of us have come into the program of AA or into the program of Al-Anon with a belief in a higher power, with a belief in God, with a belief in a God of our understanding, as the literature in AA puts it. So some of us have that spiritual belief. Some of us have grown up in religious households or just in spiritual households, or maybe you just had a belief in a power greater than yourself throughout your childhood and throughout your adulthood. There is a caveat to that, though, is that you can have a belief in a power greater than yourself. You can have a belief in God, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're listening to God. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're following the path of God's will. And so most of the time when we find ourselves in alcoholic relationships or we find ourselves in the alcoholism, that it's our will that is taking precedence over the will of God. So that is where we get into this sticky situation. But when we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity, it's that we are letting go of our own will for God's will. Now, there's a second half of this where came to believe a power greater than ourselves is the set of people who didn't have any prior beliefs. Or maybe they had a belief in a power greater than themselves, but then they lost it somewhere along the way. This is specifically addressed to the agnostic and the atheist. But in the program of AA, in the program of Al-Anon, you really embrace a power greater than yourself. Now, in the beginning, if you are an agnostic or you're an atheist, in the beginning, this could just mean taking the power from the rooms in the AA meetings or the rooms in the Al-Anon meetings, that collective energy from all the people that are gathered together that have their collective experiences in pain and their collective experiences in power through a higher power. So in the beginning, for those of you that don't believe in a power greater than yourself, you can take the collectivity as your greater power. You can take the power of the group and make that something outside of yourself in order to help restore you to sanity. And what the 12 steps is really saying here is that the solution cannot be found within yourself for this disease of alcoholism. Alcoholism is cunning, baffling. It is a crazy disease, as we've already ascertained in the first step. It is insanity. And you know this if you've tried to overcome alcoholism or if you've been living with someone who is an alcoholic. It is a crazy, crazy disease that makes absolutely no sense. It's a disease that even baffles scientists to this day, and alcoholism has been around forever. When you believe in a power greater than yourself, you're saying, I can't do this alone. I am not alone. And I'm reaching outside of myself for help. And I really need to do that if I'm going to seek recovery. I need to reach outside of my own selfish needs, inside of my own selfish wants, and inside of my own self-will that hasn't worked in the past in order to help myself get healthy, well, vibrant, happy, joyous, peaceful, all of those things that you seek. The second half of step 2 can restore us to sanity. Alcoholism is an insane disease. But the behavior that we exhibit in alcoholism is also crazy insane, isn't it? So I know alcoholics, for example, who have been diagnosed with various diseases or have been diagnosed with liver toxicity or gout or high blood pressure or diabetes or any of the number of medical conditions and diseases, and yet the compulsion to drink is still there. They still continue to drink regardless of the consequences. I've known alcoholics who have lost their children, their spouse, their jobs, their careers, their homes, their assets, and still the compulsion to drink is still there and they continue to drink. So if that's not insanity, then I don't know what is. The continuance of insanity is the alcoholic who believes that he can control the drinking when he has seen time and time again throughout the years that he actually can't control the drinking. For the person who loves the alcoholic, the insanity comes from trying to control the drinking of the alcoholic. That's completely absurd. You cannot control the behavior of another person. Even if you were to follow them around 24/7 and have their hands tied behind their back, you still can't control the behavior of another person. So it's the insanity of thinking that I can combat this disease by controlling the alcoholic. It's the insanity of if I just threw away the bottles of alcohol, he'll stop drinking. And it's the insanity of if I follow him around to the bar and pick him up and put him to bed and get rid of all the alcohol in the house, he'll stop drinking. It's just completely absurd. So we've had these patterns we've developed over the years. And step 2 is talking about, we've tried it. We've tried everything. I'm sure you have tried everything. I know you've tried everything because I was there in the same boat and I also had tried absolutely everything. And so we have this sense of insanity where sometimes you can even say like, why am I doing this? Why am I in the car again at 2 a.m. driving out to the bar to pick my loved one up from the bar? It just makes no sense. And if you're the alcoholic, I know you're like vomiting in the morning and you're throwing up and you've got this killer hangover. The first thing you do to alleviate the pain is to take another drink. And I know as you're taking that first drink of the day, for that relief, you are also saying to yourself, this is insanity. But there is a solution, and that's the great part of the AA and Al-Anon program, is that there is a solution. The 12 steps say that there is a solution. The solution is to reach out to a power greater than yourself, to restore you to this sanity that you are seeking, this peace. Now, you can replace sanity with any other word. That you're looking for peace, you're looking for serenity, you're looking for stability, you're looking for security. You're looking for all of these things, and none of these things can be found on your own through this disease. It's just impossible. So AA has been around for close to 100 years, and millions of alcoholics have gotten better through the practice of the 12 steps, and really in earnest. So one of the things is that you need to get step 1 perfectly. I said that in the other video. You really need to understand that you cannot control the alcohol. And if you're someone who loves an alcoholic, you cannot control that person. You didn't cause it. you can't control it, and you can't cure it. Those are the 3 C's. So when you reach out to a power greater than yourselves, it really takes the weight off of your shoulders. It takes the weight off of, I don't need to figure this out on my own. It's not my place to figure it out on my own, but God can figure it out for me. And it's that first point of surrender. It's that first point of realization. It's that aha moment that everyone who practices and implements step 2 realizes. They realize, like, wow, that weight has been taken off my shoulders because now I know I don't have to figure this out on my own. And it's such a relief when you really embrace this part. Now, a lot of people truly have trouble with steps 2 and 3 because it is reaching out beyond your own ego. It's reaching out beyond your will in order to help bring you to sanity and to bring you serenity. And the serenity prayer is a great prayer to pray when you are in doubt, when you're beginning to try to take things back into your own hands instead of giving things over to a power greater than yourself. So get down on your knees and pray about this. Even if you don't have belief in a higher power, get down on your knees anyway and scream out to anything. Say, if there's anything out there, if there's anybody out there, please help me get this. Please help me to understand this. Please help me understand that I am not alone. Thank you so much for joining me in Step 2 of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm Michelle Fondin, and I'll see you in the next video.